poverty, inequality, and so forth, they are found in these 10 poorest districts. And 8 of these poorest districts are found in the Eastern Seaboard. Therefore, if we say we want to maximize impact, government said we've got to be intentional and we've got to go where poverty is, where unemployment is, where inequality is. Hence, the 10 poorest districts that we talk about there from Coffee Bay to Kosi Bay, which are located in the Eastern Seaboard. And I'm sure people are asking, what is Eastern Seaboard? Eastern Seaboard, we are talking about the coastline from Coffee Bay to Kosi Bay, meaning from the east of the Eastern Cape, from Gqeberha up to Mkhanyakude and beyond. And if you look onto the slide there, you will see where you see a lot of reds. They are found in this Eastern Seaboard coastline. Where you see the red, that's where the poorest of the poor in this country are located. That's where the most deprivation is found. But if you look onto this coastline and you compare to the other part from Gqeberha upwards up to Cape Town, which is the west coast, you will see that you don't see even a single red there in that coastline. Meaning the coastline there is seen as a huge economic driver for the province of the Western Cape and part, of course, of the Eastern Cape. Now, we are saying we need to turn around that situation and begin to see the coast as the economic anchor of this area. And begin to see the coast as one of the things that we can use to sell our country abroad and elsewhere in terms of economic development. And we're saying, if we do that, the impact we want to see, one, we want to see us reducing unemployment, improving issues of nutrition. We want to see housing and sanitation being provided to our people. We want to see transportation. We want to see education of our people. We want to see safety and security for women and youth, because we say if women and youth are safe, the whole of society will be safe. And we want to see health care. We want to see employment. We want to see recreation and leisure. And we want to see clean environment. These are the elements of a decent standard living that we want to achieve by the development of this Eastern Seaboard. And we're saying this development will impact on the 4 district economies for now, which is OR Tambo, Herikwala, Alfrenzo, and Uku. And the 3 of these districts are in the top 10 poorest districts, and Uku is one of the most unequal districts in the country. And we have about 3.6 million people residing in these 4 districts, and 53 of these are women, and 70% are youth. And we are projecting that by 2050, we'll have about 8 million people sitting in these 4 districts, and being the size of Johannesburg and Cape Town. And we're saying this presents a perfect opportunity to realize the implementation of the Invest Rural Master Plan. And it's a perfect opportunity to reset our economy. It's a perfect opportunity to transform our spatial patterns in our country. So in terms of what are the endowments that we have seen, that if we are able to really focus and ensure that those endowments are developed, this area will really become one of the top areas in the country. One of the endowments that we talk about is the people. And we say people are our greatest endowments, because without the people, there's no economy that will thrive. And in this case, 53% of these people are women. Minister spoke at length about what women can do, and if the country can be intentional about development of women, what that can do in terms of peace in the country, in terms of the economy, in terms of ensuring that we really deal a decisive blow in terms of inequality in the country. And we're saying youth, we have got a young population here, which present an opportunity for innovation, which present an opportunity for really thriving economy. But the biggest challenge is how do we ensure that the energy that is there of the young people is redirected towards productive activities for the betterment of our country. And one of the things we've got to do is the issue of ensuring the skills revolution of our people so that they are prepared to participate in the economy. And I think we've got oceans here and waterways. I've already spoken about what the ocean can present for us. We've got a clean air and wind. The minister spoke about the clean air, particularly here in Erikwala. We've got fertile land, and most of the land that we have in this area is state and communally owned, meaning it's an opportunity where the people can really own the economy of this area. Because without land, you can't really say you are owning the economy. But here we've got an opportunity where we are the owners of the land to reset the economy according to our own terms. And we are saying here we've got a history of heritage, we have legacy in terms of the Pondo Revolt. It happened here. Some of our greatest leaders are born here. Harry Kwala, Nelson Mandela, Babu Oliver Tambo, Babu Alfred Nzo, Winnie Mandela, a number of them that we can count, Stephen Dlamini and so forth. They are born here. So we have got a diverse flora and fauna, and we have got forestry. These are economic anchors and endowments that we have got to take advantage of. Now, this development, as Minister has already indicated, we want to, we've got principles that we said are non-negotiables, which would want that everybody involved sort of recite and understand these principles. Those are design principles of this development. One of the principles is that this is a multinodal development. It's not just a development that is going to be in one area, that's it. We have got a number of nodes that have been identified that will be developed in a more integrated and connected manner as the cohesive whole, not as competing nodes. For instance, if we're saying Erikwala is going to be the hub for renewable energy, we've got to say, how do we ensure that the renewable energy that we then produce in Erikwala, we don't do the same in other areas as a competition, but we have got takeoffs in other areas and so forth. So that's what we talk about when we talk about polycentric development. And we're saying it has to be African. And when we say African, when someone comes from America to visit a city here in the Eastern Seaboard, must really see that this is Africa. The food we eat, how we wear, and so forth and so forth. So we've got to promote our Africanness, how the building, the structures look like, they must reflect who we are. And we're saying this city must promote equity and equality. That's why we're here today, is to ensure that women and youth are at the forefront of this development. And we reach that goal of equality and equity in terms of our development. And was saying this development must promote sustainability through renewable energy, etc. Also, we want to promote localization of material and procurement. So for us to achieve this, it requires that we promote establishment of industries here by local people. We promote skills revolution of our people. They must be able to innovate and develop the thing that will be required, that will be consumed in this city. We're saying this city must be safe and secure for women and youth. I've already spoken about that. It must be inclusive. There must be ease of travel and connectivity. And when we're looking at the coast, we're saying what stops us from creating a highway in our ocean where people can move from Durban to Port St. John's using the ocean. Let's just be innovative. You know, what can be done with the ocean? People must be able to move easily from Durban to East London, from East London to Maritzburg, from Maritzburg to everywhere. So the issue of transport is very key for this development. We are discussing now with the Department of Transport to review the transport master plan so that it also covers this area. And we're saying the issue of rail infrastructure, we've got to promote, of course, the issue of safe roads and so forth. And we're saying it has to be municipal-centric in the sense that whatever we do, the success of it will depend on the functionality and the financial viability of a municipality. So we have got to make sure that our municipalities are actually the anchors of this development. They own it, they drive it. And when we talk about renewable energy, municipalities must not be spectators in that conversation. They must actually be at the center of saying, in our area, this is how we want to participate in the renewable energy program. Not as consumers, but as generators of the renewable energy themselves. That's how we think a municipality will be viable. So we have very key potential economic anchors here, like tourism, oceans economy, mineral resources, agriculture, film, and renewable energy. So we spoke about the multinodality or polycentricity of this city and the linkages in terms of the economies. When we were looking into this region as a whole, we said there's no way you can have a successful economy in OR Tambo without looking at Alfrenzo, without looking at Terikwala, and without looking at Uku. These economies are linked, and if you want to really maximize impact, we have got to ensure that the strategic linkages of these economies, we take advantages of those. So we want at the end to link the economy of eThekwini and Buffalo City. This is what this development must achieve at the end. Currently, you have got over 600 kilometers where you move from East London to Durban with just no economic activity in between. If there is a very limited activity in between. And we're saying we need to change that. Next slide. I spoke about the issue of skilling of our people. That we have got to be intentional about this development and ensure that we focus on the skilling of our people. And we're looking at other countries, how they succeeded. For instance, we looked at South Korea. South Korea before was not a big economy, was actually at the same level as ourselves. But they were very intentional about what they wanted, and they embarked on a massive skills revolution. And what that made for them, today you've got a motor industry in Korea, which is actually competing with Toyota, Kia. Kia was just a small entity then, but because of the intention that South Korea had and the investment in terms of skilling their people, they were able to produce a Kia which is today almost at the same level as Toyota. And we're saying that is an outcome of an intentional skilling of the population. And also we look at Ethiopia. Ethiopia, they took an intentional decision to say, if we want to be competitive as a country, we have got to focus on skilling of our population. And then they came up with a 70-30 split, where they said 70% of their population must be skilled on STEM areas, which is science, technology, and mathematics. And we're saying this is what we need to do here in South Africa. If we want to achieve this development, there's no way we'll achieve without ensuring that the young population that we spoke about is skilled, and they are actually at the center of this development. The next slide. The next slide was just recapping in terms of the progress thus far with the implementation of this program. Firstly, the President launched this program on the 12th of November in Ugu. And the President made some key pronouncements in that launch. One of the pronouncements was that this whole area needs to be declared as a region for purposes of this development. This is done in terms of SPLUMA. And for this area to be declared a region, we need the both Premier of KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape to support that through a letter. And all the mayors that will be impacted by this development to also support that through a letter. And I must report today, leadership, that we have received the letters of support from the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, the Premier of the Eastern Cape, and 10 municipalities have supported already out of the 17. Which is a huge progress going forward. And I must also report that we have also started a process of the Regional Spatial Development Framework. We have issued already requests for proposals, and they closed already. The Bid Adjudication Committee is sitting to finalize the procurement of a service provider who will be working with all these municipalities and the province to develop a regional spatial development framework for this region. And on receipt of all the support letters from the provinces, from the two provinces, the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Agriculture will then officially declare this area as a region. And it has got huge benefits for this development, in the sense that it's easy to coordinate budgets, not according to a municipality, but according to the region as a whole, and be able to ensure that the budgets are prioritized by all the 17 municipalities and the province and national, to ensure that there's no money that will go back to other areas when there is this development, that if one municipality is not performing, money can be reorganized and be repurposed for this development. So that declaration is very, very important for purposes of organizing, planning, as well as implementation of budgets. Also, President made a pronouncement that as part of creating a conducive environment, R61 road need to be attended to. There is R61 that is connecting Port Edward and Eastern Cape up to, I think, Ngobo and so forth. At R61, there was a huge cry that once you pass Port Edward and you get to the Eastern Cape side up to Port St. John's, it's a health hazard. In fact, it's a danger to the communities. And there was a view that if we are really intentional about this and we want investors to explore that area, that road has got to be attended to. And I must report today that Minister of Transport has since engaged with the Premier of the Eastern Cape, and a decision is being considered to take that road over to Sanral for purposes of operations and maintenance, as it is the case on the side of KZN. And also, President said we must cut red tape and roll out red carpet for investors. So it's a call that President made that we have got to enable investment in this area. And as you know, there is already a program within the presidency that is focused on cutting the red tape. And that program will really help us a lot in ensuring that this development move with speed without all the challenges that are there normally in terms of the red tape. But over and above that, we have set up work streams that are coordinating this development from national, provincial, as well as local. So those work streams will also assist a lot in ensuring that we cut the red tape, and where we need to take decisions are taken without having to refer to another department and wait through a letter and wait for a long time before decision could be taken. So decisions will be taken through those work streams. And we already have the forum of all accounting officers, all the departments in the country. They meet every second week. All the DGs of the two provinces, the HODs, the DGs of national government departments, and so forth. We meet on a constant basis, and we took a decision, Honorable Leadership, that for that forum to succeed, it must not be led by one DG. It must be led by all the DGs, and they rotate in terms of chairing that meeting. The DG of KZN has chaired, the DG of Eastern Cape chairs, the DG of Women was chairing recently, and all DGs, they know they have got their chair, they've got a schedule for a year where they know that they will be chairing the session. And in those sessions, we're not just talking, we report progress. And we think it's going to help us a lot, even in cutting the red tape. And also, President said DTM approach will ensure better alignment of government structures to facilitate planning, permits, and other approvals required for development without cutting corners or compromising safety and quality. So this is what we are doing through the forum of the DGs, as well as the work streams that have been set up. Also, President said, we encourage investment by packaging existing infrastructure portfolios and presenting credible project pipelines with details needed for investors to make informed decisions. So what we have since done, we have identified a number of planning instruments that ought to be in place to inform investment, like feasibility studies that need to be done. We have started with a feasibility study for renewable energy. We've started with the regional spatial development framework, as I've alluded to. We have also started a process toward the development of the integrated master plan for the area. But there are also a number of other initiatives which we have collated from various departments, municipalities, which we are working with them to ensure that they are packaged properly to become bankable and become investment ready. And we have a number of partners that we are working with, like the Afrixim Bank, the Globus team, that is assisting us in terms of project preparation. President also made a pronouncement that for investments to succeed in this area, we must strengthen capability and improve functioning of local government. So I've spoken to that point, which is very important. That's why we have the district development model today. The aim is to really strengthen the capacity of local government to execute their mandate, but also to ensure that the whole of government and the whole of society is involved and we build capability across the board. The next slide. This slide, I'm just indicating progress with regard to the regional spatial development framework. I've already indicated the municipalities that have not as yet submitted support letters, but I'm not going to name and shame them here. They know themselves, we have written to them. So I want to, again, appeal that we need those letters. They will assist us to fast-track this development. Next slide. In terms of where we are and what we still need to do, I will just focus on what we still need to do, which is very important. Firstly, it's a continuous work that we are doing of ensuring political commitment, of ensuring that we have as Imbizos like we're doing today, where we engage communities. So we have got to be intentional about involving communities. I think we have done well at a national, provincial level, and also in engaging local government, but we have not really gone down to the communities themselves and begin to get their views and work with them. And although we have done well in terms of engaging at a traditional leadership level, but we still need more in terms of engaging the headmen, izindunas, and so forth. So it's work that is ongoing. And also in terms of private sector buy-in and commitment, recently we presented to the South African Investment Conference. The enthusiasm there was out of this world to show that everyone is looking forward to this development. But what was lacking on our side was projects that are bankable, that we can immediately sell to investors. So that's why it's very important that we really invest time on project preparation and ensuring that we do have what is called shovel-ready projects so that investors can come en masse and invest in this area. But the interest and enthusiasm to invest in this area is quite overwhelming, I must say. And of course, there are areas that we need to strengthen in terms of our own capacity administratively now to drive this project. So we need, as government and as community, to see to what extent we can really build our own capacity to ensure that this project, it does not just end at a presentation level, but on the ground we do have people who are really on the ground working. Next slide. The next slide was just showcasing some of the potential that this area presents. For instance, if you look at the renewable energy, the Herikwala and Alfonso area, they've got the fastest wind. And this fastest wind, even the offshore, we also have a lot of offshore wind. It presents an opportunity for participation in the renewable energy program. And we're saying we've got to be intentional and come up with programs around renewable energy, more especially Herikwala, as well as Alfonso. And also if you look at the terrain in terms of this area, more especially Herikwala and Alfonso, We've got a lot of mountainous areas, and we're saying these areas present a huge opportunity for what we call pumped storage potential. So we're saying several pumped storage projects of a sizable scale are possible in the KZN and Eastern Cape. And if we're to, this will bring these two provinces actually at the center of just transition. So we've got to be intentional and not look at the mountains and as if the terrain that is not good for economic development. Can actually be a huge spin-off in terms of participation in the renewable energy. And we are busy with the feasibility studies now to unlock this potential. Next slide, we're just showing that the implementation of this program is not going to be a linear implementation. As we plan, those projects that are ready for implementation will implement, and then there will be organic development. So we're not going to plan, and we're not going to say we're going to plan first, then until when we're done with planning, then we engage investment to come and invest and start with the implementation. No. As we plan, those plans that are ready for implementation will implement. And already the investors who have expressed interest in Uku, as well as in Port St. John's, and also in other areas in Coffee Bay and Magwa area in the Eastern Cape. So there are already investors who are interested, who are saying, please, we want to participate. Of course, the issue of land is a real problem which we need to unlock. Currently, most of our land, as I've indicated, it belongs to the communal, and the land tenure system as it relates to communal land is a very tricky one. We say it's an advantage in the sense that that land, you don't have to buy it, it's in the hands of the people. But it's a very difficult one to navigate in ensuring that at the end, that land is released for development. And we're saying we've got to work hand in gloves with the traditional leaders and ensure that we get community resolutions and get the Department of Land, Agriculture and Rural Development to work with us to ensure that those land parcels are identified, are surveyed, and are made ready for development. So it's one area that we want to focus on. And another challenge we have identified, once people hear that there is this development, then they rush to our traditional leaders and they want to be allocated land there, for speculative purposes. And we are saying that need to be discouraged. The traditional leaders should not allocate any land in this area without following a proper process. Because once we do that, at the point when the investors want to come and invest, then there will be no land to invest in. And we'll then have a challenge in terms of taking this program forward. We've identified a number of risks that we are working on to mitigate. The insufficient financing for bulk services is one of the major risks, and the failure to realize investor pipeline, which I spoke at length about, is one of the risks. And of course, the government process coordination failures is one of the risks, and the land availability is going to be one of the risks that we have got to manage, all of us. That's the end of the concept, and we will be going to communities, having workshops, dedicated workshops with youth-owned businesses, women, to ensure that women are at the center of this development, and they are also assisted in terms of packaging their own business plans. So we're talking with the DG that post these Imbizos, we need to organize the National Youth Development Agency, the Small Business, CIFA, and all these other agencies have sessions to all these municipalities where we meet with women and they are assisted, in terms of how to package a tender, because it's always a problem, how to package a business plan, how to package all these things that will enable women to participate. That's the last slide, and thank you very much, leadership. We end this with a quote from our Isitwalandwe, Bamun Mandela. I quote, "I dream of the realization of the unity of Africa, whereby its leaders combine in their efforts to solve the problems of this continent. I dream of our vast deserts, of our forests, of all our great wilderness." Close quote. Thank you very much, leadership.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vimba, for a detailed presentation on the Eastern Seaboard development, where we are really seeing the district development model in action. There is a video that is part of this presentation. I'm not sure whether it is ready.
Time for a brand new city in a democratic South Africa is here. A city that spans 120 kilometers across the wild coast.
South Africa's Eastern Seaboard is 600 kilometers of the strands of the country's unique history, intricately woven with hope for a prosperous future. This tranquil land is home to the first encounters between the Amazulu, Amaxhosa, Portuguese, Dutch and the British. The unspoiled lands betray no hint of conflict that built this country, offering only unspoiled beaches, wild coastal lands, unmatched indigenous forests, hilly grasslands, and grand mountains. In the 18th century, the Amaxhosa in the area led minor cattle raids that escalated into two great conflicts known as the Xhosa Wars or the Cape Frontier Wars. And this spirit of struggle would last almost 100 years. This land is home to the Bondo revolts against oppressive colonial and apartheid laws designed to possess the best farmlands. Embraced by the warmth of the Indian Ocean, this land was once home and playground to some of Africa's greatest kings. This is the land which was protected by King Hintsa. This is the battlefield and productive capital of King Shaka Kasanzanga. This is the site of Isivivane Skashaka. It is a land with rolling history, offering Ngwane, King Matiwana, a temporary home as he fled King Shaka and left his refuge with King Mushweshwe on the other side of Great Tukahlamba, the barrier of spears. Today, the diverse marine environment of this land and sea is home to no less than 20 fish species, large numbers of dolphins and sardine shoals, sharks and shrimps, and is the home to Africa's own salmon, the Mozambique talip fish. Once the breadbasket of the Khoi, San, and Bantu tribes, it has some of Africa's best suitable land for growing crops and amazing tropical climatic conditions. It offers encounters with the Big Five, evergreen forests, rugged wilderness areas, and unmatched views of the southern slopes of the Drakensberg. All this making it the ideal scenery to support jobs, ecotourism, and recreation. It is South Africa's playground with tourists coming from all corners of the world, to enjoy the abundant marine biology and oceans. It is also South Africa's factory and maritime capital. This is a land offering endless potential opportunity. This beautiful coastal stretch of land remains hugely underdeveloped. The 3.6 million daughters and sons who call the Eastern Seaboard home have been deprived of their livelihoods and futures. The young population of this area deserve bold, innovative initiatives which will tackle the legacy they face, give them hope for the future, and result in new black industrialists creating connected, cohesive coastal cities. 8 of the top 10 poorest districts are either on or related to the Eastern Seaboard.
Never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another and suffer the indignity of being the skunk of the world.
The district development model is a deliberate and proactive measure to dismantle our past narrative of conquest, oppression, and resistance.
I dream of a South Africa where the first entirely new city built in the democratic era rises with skyscrapers, schools, universities, hospitals, and factories.
Here, we can win the war against hunger, poverty, unemployment, and inequality. This winning nation can ensure connectivity, accessible recreation, and leisure. We can bring clean energy, water, and air to meet our sustainable development goals to everyone, everywhere, no matter class, gender, color, race, sexual orientation, or creed.
Ukuthi sibe lapha as we are launching lendlela yokusebenza esibiza ukuthi district development model. It is a model that requires government to develop our country and ensure that there are services that we deliver.
South Africa, Africa and the world, the district development model is here. Join us as we reshape our future and redefine our African heritage through this innovative, polycentric African coastal smart city. As we tackle the great challenges of sustainability and prosperity induced by historical socio-economic developments, let us all take part in driving socio-economic transformation for all.
Thank you very much for the video that is summarizing what the Eastern Seaboard development is about and what it intends to achieve. Sisalelwe ikhulumi ezimbili kuphela, emva kwalokho bese singena kwi-discussion where questions can be asked. Our leadership is here to respond, but also senior government officials will also assist in responding. Let us now request MEC Khoza for Social Development to come and give a brief perspective of the development of a brief perspective from social development on the Eastern Seaboard development program.
Greetings to yourself, Program Director, our DG, Director General, who's leading the officials, officials from national, officials from all government departments, officials from municipalities. Greetings to our Premier, Honorable Zigalala, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal. Greetings to Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Umkhaya Lo, local Esleker. Greetings to Mama Umaite Nkwane Mashabane, Umama Wetu, all women, youth, people with disabilities. Greetings to Inkosi Zomthonyama, siyakahlela kakhulu kini. Greetings to all mayors present here. Sibabonile bonke o mayor. Let me put myself to a safer side. The protocol is observed. I-program enhle efana nale, it came at a correct time, whereby we are planning as well as social development. We are moving from social welfare to social development. So we put the element, the developmental element to our programs as well. We are saying away with being given handouts, but how about the development of our citizens? Uma uibuka ke I-program yetu, it is going to bring dignity kubantu bakithi, our communities ebezisele zisishiyeke ngemuva. Especially it will talk to our programs, Honorable Chair, especially our programs athi afisa ukubona umuntu, impilo yomuntu iba ngcono, whereby abantwana bethu bebedla ngokushiyeka bashiyeke bodwa, omama bashiyeke bodwa emakhaya. But today the city is brought closer to the people. So uma sibuka abantu base OR Tambo, Herigwala, Ugu, siyabona ukuthi izimpilo zabo zizoba ngcono. And looking at inamba enkulu yabantu abaseThekwini, abasePietermaritzburg, abaseGoli, uyabona ukuthi are people who are coming from those previously disadvantaged towns or rural areas. So as of now, ukuleta le development izosho impilo ezingcono kakhulu. Sithi ke, as we prepare the developmental side of abantu, see social development, we are looking at our skills akhona which are required by a market. So ke imarket yethu iti let us open eyes and focus to the ocean economy, to the land we have, and focus mostly to what we have as of now. So for us to have the South Africa we want, we need to ensure that siyafokasa ekutheni siyafunda kakhulu as much as singebe sibe engineer sonke, when this opportunity comes, let us grab it with two hands. Sibone ukuthi uma ubuka more women, about 80% of women, yibo abasebenza who are farm workers. Uma ubuka ke labo bantu bathi we are more than willing to be given land. Ningabona ukuthi singawenza njani. But the land should be used productive. Singasali futhi as women, you said it loud and clear, ministers, ukuthi masingashiyeki ngemuva, we should be role players. That's what we are looking for as we train women through service sector and the family of social development, NDA, SASA. We are saying together, women and youth cannot live ngama handouts. It is high time that we do away with that. But looking at the spatial planning, we need to consider that if omama beya kosebenza bekuvuleka amathuba, we need to have ama-crash. Lapho sizokwazi khona ukushiya abantwana bethu. For a woman, ukuya ukusondelela kwithuba lomsebenzi, you need to be ensured that umntwana wakho uphephile and ube ne peace of mind during the day. So we have a model of this. Kwindawo eseHammersdale, where there is a factory, a clothing factory, we have just encouraged ukuthi kube ne crash ezobheka abantwana. It is very easy for a woman. Ushiya umntwana wakhe lapha ya ekseni, then ahambe ayokwenza umsebenzi, then come back. So we need that consideration in the spatial planning. We need something which will talk to and try to eliminate or lessen gender-based violence. As of now, Honorable Premier and Ministers, we have a number of new families we have adopted as social development in KwaZulu-Natal, I think in South Africa. The family of LGBTIQ, the family of people living with HIV. So those are new families which should not be left behind as well. As we plan, we need to have that in mind. So these families are people who are saying they still have, they can contribute to development yelizwe lethu. They still can contribute to economy yezwe lethu. So this is, if we shape this is the South Africa we want. This is our dream as South Africa. We say, here we are. We have to build those roads. Imigwaqo yethu, it talk to what we have in mind in our plans. Premier, ngingathi throw the road, especially coming from Icala Lago case lase Herigwala under Ubuhlebezwe. Coming from Richmond area, you wouldn't be able uti uya faga development if you don't talk and mention UP113 umgwaqo osusa oxhuma iRichmond yo Ubuhlebezwe and Ugu. So those are the roads, city, the P77, La City, those are the roads, as yenza impilo yomama ibelula. So we have, as we move, we say, let us open doors, especially to those licenses. I'm pleased because your presentation, Mhlegazi, was talking about removing the bottlenecks, removing stereotypes and everything, which would make life, it will make life better for us. Remember, in your planning, asisukanga kanye kanye. And I like it when Mama Charlotte Maxege, we should leave no one behind. It is high time that we leave no one behind. Uti Mama Charlotte Maxege, if we rise, just take someone and rise with her. So that's what our government is doing. And we are very much pleased as women of Eastern Cape, as women of KwaZulu-Natal, ukuthi this will happen in our lifetime. I thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC Khoza. Indeed, we should not leave anyone behind. Let us now request MEC Pillay.
I take it I'll be authorized to take my mask off at the moment. The marshals were very strict with me. Every time I took a sip and I forgot to put my mask up, they came to give me a warning, but that's good. Thank you, Program Director. Our honorable ministers, Minister Shlamini Zuma, Minister Mashabane, our Premier, my colleague MECs, our mayors, respected Amakosi, councillors, community leaders, all attendees, mothers and fathers and young people, I greet you all, Sanbonani Nonke. I will try to be brief because we've had lengthy presentations, but I think it's been very exciting for our national leadership to come and give us this vision and the overarching architecture, if I can put it that way, that will govern the implementation of this very inspiring vision. One of the things we're going to have to do is in each of our districts do some important basic work to see how we are going to fit in, what ideas that we have that's going to plug into this bigger vision and overall plan. That means we must talk to the strengths of each of our districts and each of our municipalities, and I will speak to a little bit of that just now. Let me also say that we must realize where we're coming from. Of course, we're very happy to be together today after so long. And I'm not just saying it to make conversation. This is a symbol of us recovering from COVID-19. This is a symbol of our economy recovering as well by the way we move and the way we gather, but always with a responsibility. So we reflect on that very briefly to say we're coming out of what I call a triple whammy of recession, then COVID-19, and then unrest. But we're putting all that behind us. We're not putting it under the carpet. We're putting it behind us because we've learned the lessons from what has happened. And one of the strong things that has come out is our resilience. And the Premier and I, we've been meeting a lot of investors recently. And all of them are saying they're inspired and encouraged by what we call the resilience of South Africans. We refuse to be down. We get up, we get together, and we are making things happen. Now, we're not doing things in an ad hoc way. In other words, we're not getting up every morning and saying what we're going to do today. We're working according to an economic recovery plan. We have the National Economic Recovery Plan, and then we have our provincial economic recovery, reconstruction, and transformation plan. That plan recognizes our economy as KwaZulu-Natal, and we are happy that we are a diverse economy. We're not an economy that relies on one or two things only. So in KwaZulu-Natal, we've broken up our economy into 14 sectors. And working with everyone, we are developing our response to each sector. So for example, if I have to list a few, two of the key pillars of KwaZulu-Natal's economy would be agriculture and tourism. But we also have increasingly ICT, the fourth industrial revolution, manufacturing, industrial, financial services. Informal sector is recognized by us as a specific sector that needs a specific focus, which have different needs. And then, of course, there's the oceans economy, which much has been spoken about already. There's the clothing and textile sector. There's the pulp and paper. I'm saying this to you so that you are part of KwaZulu-Natal. We also want to work with the Eastern Cape as part of the 4 districts. But we need to see which of these sectors is relevant. We have the greatest potential in our districts. So when I look at it, I will suggest, and you may have different ideas, agriculture, tourism, the oceans economy, pulp and paper were the ones that will jump up immediately. But increasingly, young people are wanting to be involved in the ICT sector. And today, it doesn't matter where you are to be involved in the field of technology. That's the whole point of technology. Wherever you are, you can still participate in the opportunities that come out of the technological era. But also what we have as a separate sector is the creative industry. The creative industry is from arts and crafts, but it's also to things like film and fashion. And there's some very exciting things happening there in the film and fashion sector. So all of these become opportunities. Premier, I didn't tell you this, but I went to a film commission event in partnership with MultiChoice. And there was a group of about 50 young people from KwaZulu-Natal who are being exposed to all the best practices in the film industry. And there was a young man there who was a kind of guest of honor as going to be the keynote speaker. I think his name is Chris Kumalo. He writes the script for a program called Gomorrah, which I didn't know. There's something very famous called Gomorrah movie. But that young man is from Bushlebezo in this district. So the point is we need to get all our talents to inspire our young people that they can be anything they want to, and the opportunities are there. But we're also saying, and I think the purpose of this is to bring us all together. So when the President and the Premier talks about building a social compact, what does it mean? It means all of us and all sectors of society must work together. The social compact we have at a provincial level is with government, business, labor, and civil society. We're saying that must be brought down to the district level. So the private sector and the business people must come and to the table and give us their ideas and make their contribution to building this economy. When we analyze our economy, you will see that it's only 30% or so is where the state has a direct interest through its procurement and through its spend and through its control of state-owned entities. 70% is in the public sector, in the private sector. So if we're going to create all the jobs we need the public sector and the private sector to work together in this social compact. So far, we've got some good examples of the private sector coming through with big investments in other parts of the province, whether it's Toyota, whether it's Sappi, whether it's Richards Bay Minerals, whether it's a company called Tetra Pak. We've been working with them to launch, and the Premier has been at the front line of launching those big business initiatives. So we'll have to ask Sappi and Mondi, who own big forests in this district, as to what value-add programs we can create for this district. Can there be the beginnings of a new furniture industry, or all byproducts that come from the timber sector? Of course, your tourism can be maximized even further. But from the government sector, and there'll be a presentation later on, there are several programs called Operation Vula, Raset, the Youth Fund, Itala Finance Corporation, and Itala Soc, the bank. Both have several instruments that seeks to direct funding. So I'm not going to spend time now talking about it. There's a presentation later on. But let me just use Operation Vula as an example. With the Operation Vula Window 1, it's about 330 million rand has been directed to over 1,000 SMMEs throughout the province. That allocation has been done. 98% of them have received. They don't get money, they get equipment to improve their businesses and SMMEs. Now we'll have to see how that works, but we want to have a second window of Vula Window 2 later in the year, and this presentation that I referred to will be made later in the program. Of course, central to this initiative is a smart city. Smart city, essential to the smart city is technology. And we're quite pleased to say that I think Premier's office will be leading an Indaba on technology in April with all the leading technology players, from the MTNs to the Vodacoms and other technology players, where we're going to facilitate them to come up with initiatives, of course supported by government, but of course the smart city will make sure that it is on the agenda. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen and leadership, I think we welcome this event as popularizing the concept. Our job is to do a lot of the detailed work to take it to its next level. Thank you very much for listening. Siyabonga.
Thank you very much, MEC Pillay. We are now at the point where we will have a discussion. Abafisayo ukubuza imbuzo sizobanikeza ithuba. We request the colleagues to be ready with the roving mics, as we had arranged. I don't see where the colleagues with the roving mics are, but I hope they are ready. We will take questions and comments. And we request, because sibaningi lapha endlini esingafisa ukuthi siphawule, uma kukhona osekuphawuliwe ngako nosekubuziwe, siyacela ukuthi ungakuphindi, noma ubuza umbuzo uye ngqo embuzweni ukuze sikhathule isikhathi. We request that our questions are concise and straight to the point, so that we can save time and give as much people an opportunity to ask. We are going to start from this side. If there are questions from this side, on my extreme right, ngicela ningibhekele ukuthi ikhona izandla ephakeme. Zikhona izandla ephakeme. Ngicela beze la that's number 1. Ngicela uze la epassage. There's only one hand that side. And then let's move here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ngicela nime la epassage. Ngicela ume phambili. Ngakusisi lo ume. I-mic izoza. Yebo, ngicela ume lapho. Lezandla beyiphakeme, ngicela nisukume nizojoyina. Izogcina ngawo indaba
Siya, sicela usibambele i-microphone now, ne? Good, please, bambele.
Sicela ungabuzi imibuzo engaphezulu kwemibili. Umuntu emunye. Khona sonke sizolithola ithuba. Please give the mic to the first person. It's this, no, the first person is the lady. Yes.
Greeting to all officials and the core of the development implementation of our SMEs. I want to raise a question to all the department areas where I want to understand where us as the youth, the women, the disabled, have issues of reaching the departments in ways that we should reach them, where development is promised to us as the youth and the women, and then when we have to now partake in such programs, the structures that are developed through municipalities and our districts then reframe and restrict us from reaching such developments. I wanna ask the department and all the officials, how are you going to manage the program where, as we are here today, within the program and all the infrastructure that is going to be implemented, we are there again at the end?
Thank you. Let's give the next person.
Sanibonani, ngibingelela bonke ubuholi obuphambi kwethu. Okhuluma la omile la uMathandi wakaDebe ngeqhamuka othukela district. Okay. Siyabonga ukuthola ithuba elifana naleli kubahlonishwa bethu bonke. Ngize ngiphinde ngibonge nakubaba mpela omkhulu ubaba wethu ubabkhuzini. Okay. Elami lithi sebekhulumile bonke abaholi bethu kakhulu ngijatshuliswe ubaba Nxumalo kokuqala nje othe uma esachaza injongo esilethile lana benomama umphathiso wezabaphila nokukhubazeka besifazane neyouth. Okay. Ngeumama uku-cooperative, singama-cooperative sibaningi sikhona lana. Okay. Ngifisa ukuthi kuyasijabulisa konke lokhu okukhulunywa la okubalwayo okushiwoyo. So mama kuthiwa lapha sizovuselela ukuthi singomama kufanele ukuthi nathi siphile sijabule. Ngiyacela sicela kwenzeke ziningi imbizo baba sihamba sikhulume kube mnandi kodwa ekugcineni singama cooperative kugcine kungenzekalanga. Ekugcineni sigcina kubukeka ngazathi thina so mama sama cooperative asiwenza umsebenzi siyahluleka, kanti asihluleki. Kuhlulekeka ekutheni sixhumana kanjani sibonisana kanjani umsebenzi ugcina ungafikanga kuthini ukuthi siwenze sisibonakalise ukuthi sikhona siyakwazi ukwenza umsebenzi ekugcineni igama eliyofika liyothi ama cooperative ahlulekile awadeliver ngesikhathi ngikhona namhlanje ngizogcizelela mhlawumbe ngangifuna noma ikuphi othukela district ngiyaziwa mama hade bewathi nikhona umsebenzi niyakhona ukwenza ngiyobe ngikhona futhi ukuphendula baba nangalelo langa thina umsebenzi awufike ezandleni okunaloko ufike ezandleni zalabantu abafika bathi bayawenza umsebenzi bawuthathe bawulethe kuthina sama cooperative sibenzele wona umuntu ayodeliver bese thi wenziwe uyi sisacela namhlanje ngicela ukuzibophezela sicela umsebenzi sisebenze siwomama ama cooperative mina ngimilo othukela district hayi abaphathi bami bayazi o district coordinators bami abaningi even ubaba wethu MEC ubabhlomuke khona la thina we are proud othukela umsebenzi angeke sihluleke ukwenza sicela nisinike umsebenzi nisilethele umsebenzi sisebenze kubonakala umsebenzi siyakwazi ukwenza ngiyabonga
angithathele lithuba ngibingelele kubahlonishwa umzamo makhobo okhulumayo angibongele kakhulu omama ukuba batholele lithuba lokuba nabo bakhona ukuthi baziphilise nginombuzo ke othi ingaba kulaba besilisa ukusuka ku36 years ukuyama ku59 kuthiwani ngabo ngoba kunento yenzakalayo ama post aphumayo afika athi 18 to 35 uthola ukuthi into yenzakele i1 umuntu kuza delay ubesazama ukuba abe nalo grade 12 abe ne diploma abe ne degree uma senazo akasalinikeza ithuba ngokulokuthi akathola umsebenzi sekumele yena yoxova iconcrete makunjalo angibona ukuthi ubugebengu buzaphela ngizacela ukuba ngikhumbuze utathmeya wethu lento ekhuluma ngayo la into eseyifikile ngale ngakithi unyaka wes20 le kunengxaki itrust emephambi kwamalungelo wabantu cela ukwehla
Greeting to our MECs and all the councillors and the community and the stakeholders. My name, I am Councillor TQ Ndoli from Umkanyagude District, Toba Municipality. My concern is cooperative funding. Funding, cooperative, control service providers. Cooperative, our calling. Kugcina sekuvalwa nama banking account abo. Cooperative aya explodwa service providers. Bengithi ngizocela ukuthi kule mnyango obo agrisita, agriculture, lama department funda cooperative. Ukuthi athi look onto kuma invoices asuke esenziwe because uthola ukuthi service provider uvele abhale percentage kwi co-op then I co-op izosana no 10% the rest imali iya ku service provider nama student uthola ukuthi awana ama equipment especially if kuyi learnership nakuma skills kwenzeka into enjalo uma igovernment ifuna ukuthi ama cooperative akhule siyacela ukuthi kube ne assessment ne follow up yokuthi ifunding ibayi distribute kanjani ngiyabonga
Sanibonani ngizoqala ngokubonga ku Operation Vula Fund ukuthi youth esuka eMtuba and we applied and we received funding in Operation Vula Fund and I remember Minister Sihlezekalala sibizile last year Imbizo if I'm not mistaken and we were one of the beneficiaries and as we were awarded Loma Awards, indeed we did receive them. And we want to, as a youth, we are wishing ukuthi singa misuse ama equipments aga government. However, we wish ukuthi mhlambe ngaba ne amendment enzakalayo. Siyazi ukuthi mhlambe government has changed ukuthi anikeze abantu imali to ama equipment because mhlambe imali igcina imisuse. But then can you please consider the fact ukuthi there are some things ezincane ekudinga zenzakalayo. At least mhlambe lo 5,000 for a startup, because you can't just be unemployed and then you get equipment and then you're expected to just work and grow as a cooperative. Okay? I'm just saying, if there's a room to make an amendment, can you please do it? Billy, we're sitting here and we're looking at this year 2030. It's an agenda. And if you read the document, it tells you we're going to be having 800 million jobs that we're going to lose. And one of the things that is the cause is because of the fourth industrial revolution. I'm one of the people that is doing a master's with fourth industrial revolution. And my greatest concern is that black people, the only time they get to access a computer is at a varsity level or never at all. But if you look, COVID has forced us to be digital, and you have a black person that doesn't even know how to use a smartphone, doesn't even have access to it, not even the infrastructure, which is the internet. Can we please do our skills development, party-based, and please just make our skills and training, whatever centers to teach computer, not just do Microsoft to it, because that's useless. Let our children design, develop, program machine, program everything. Let our black people.
Okay, thank you. Please tell us your name. Siyacela nabalendelayo uqale usho igama lakho nokuthi uvela kuphi.
All right. Igama lami nguPrecious Wagumede. Ngisuke eMtubatuba under uMkhanyi ku district. I think I'll just end it here, ngiyabonga.
Salmonani, I've got 10, but I'll only submit 3. It's not the questions. The one speaking, it's John Mota, Provincial Sports Confederation, and also District Chairperson, Herigwala. What we'll be submitting is for the 7th, if not the 10th time, but we'll keep on submitting it. The first one, we have requested long time facilities of disabled people in sports in the district. Till now, we are still submitting that we want an agent facility of disabled people in our district, Herigwala. Number 2, we have lost almost maybe 6 million in revenues, whereby in a form of Kaizer Chiefs, Amazulu, and Arrows, I can name them, they could not come and play in Kokstad because of the ground, which is not suitable. We have made a lot of inquiries. Ubaba Uzungu from Amazulu wanted to come to Kokstad, but because of the facility, which does not allow them to come, they could not come. We are again forwarding a request of a 10,000 football seater with an athletic track outside. If you know, Lamont, same facility we're asking. We're asking for the facility of 10,000 soccer field supporters and athletics field around it, proper one. Then the last one. Okay, it's a sports budget for women. We don't have sports budget for women within our district. We want women to be involved in sports, but there's no budget. post budget for women. Thank you, ma'am.
Siyacela ukuthi sihloniphane singadluli embuzweni emibili umuntu emunye. Siyacela ukuthi sihloniphane. Bengikade ngicabanga ukuthi siqedile la. Manje sekukhona abasuke kwezinye indawo esingakayi kuzo. We haven't reached this side, that side, and that side. We dealt with that side and this side. So we request that those that are not from this side, that we did not point to, babuyele endaweni zabo. We're coming this side so that there's no confusion. Please.
Thank you, Mphathi Sihlalo. Ngibulise kubaphathiswa bonke. Ngicela nje uqala ngoku highlight what uMinister wethu Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma mentioned. Ukuthi siqala with what we have. We have clean air.
Can you please start with your name?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Amanda Nombembe. I'm the Director of Child Welfare South Africa, Kokstad. So, ndisacela ngimele amalungelo abantwana because kwi presentation I had engazuthi ikoma iphela kwi youth. So, as the cities grow, also the crime grows. I'm basing that, for example, kwi report ephuma ku Minister where women and disabled children, chapter 8 paints a very bleak picture where rape starts from age 0 iya phezulu. So when we create smart cities, we need to take into cognizance creating child-friendly smart cities. Yenzeka kanjani leyo nto? Yenzeka ngokuthi safe points where children feel free and safe are available. Luckily, Kokstad is doing very well, uMasipala wethu, where they have coordinated all service providers to make sure that safe points are available. 2 is, if Kokstad is great on, it's a small oceans economy, amadam, where abantwana base Kokstad can go and fish. So what I'm requesting that in the seaboard, in the Eastern Seaboard smart city, as you engage with us, please encourage e-fishing. E-fishing for a girl child, e-fishing for women as well. Ndithi futhi, athletics, for example, Kokstad is very great with hockey. One of our hockey players, Olympiad, came from South Africa, and one of our child development social development child, or client yet, has made in South Africa. So, ubhuti obeme apha ethetha nge-sports facility. It's one way of incorporating child-friendly cities into smart cities, encouraging the potential that already exists in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one.
Ngiyabonga program director. Ngiyathanda nami ukuqala ukuthi ngibingelele izikhulu zethu kanye nathi sonke esihlanganyile kule Imbizo. Igama lami nguBhela wakaZondi. I come from a company eKenya. We produced steel components for the electrical sector. Mhlambe umbuzo uyi-comment ukuhlangane in one. Siyazi ukuthi kuyakhulunywa ngendaba yokuthi izo remover noma government is looking at removing red tape when it comes to excess funding. One is fisa ukwazi ukuthi kuzowenzeka nini lokho because it's been a long time coming. It's almost next to impossible for startups to start ama business as sustainable because some of us have to start from scratch. 2, abanye bethu ama businesses wenzayo adinga imshini ebiza kakhulu, akulula kuthina ukuthi siqale kancane kancane. Secondly, into kade ngifisa ukuthinta kuyona indaba yama funding. when we apply for funding, it's taking far too long for us to get funding. Some of us who have been youth, youth endala, mama manje. We are not getting funding. If funding will apply a manje, you wait a whole year. And another thing, sorry, program director, Uguti, when we do not get fundings, we do not get feedback. Yini esuke ivimbele ukuthi siyithole ifunding. Siyacela ukuthi kube nendlela. Siyacela ukuthi kube nendlela ezokwazi ukuthi isigade ngoba inhloso ukuthi kwakhiwe. Uma engiza nako is not sufficient noma kunama gaps noma kuyashota, sicela ukuthi kube ne clear guidance eshoyo ukuthi wena imali awuyitholi ngenxa ya 1 2 and 3, hamba uyolungisa u1 2 and 3, and we will relook in order for us to be able ukuthi sonke sisizakala. Siyabonga.
Ngibingelele ikhulu zethu, ngibingelele nabo bonke abakhona phakathi. Igama lami uZethu Wangubane, osuka eMkhanyakude district under iJozini municipality. Ngizoqala nje ngokubonga uEktia ukuthi ngila ngikhona because of bona bangisusa phansi ngine CK, and then bangenzisa konke okunye, bangenzisa nama training mina nabasebenzi bami. Sila isikhona nje ngenxa yabo, senza i-manufacturing of aluminum windows, doors and burglar gates. Engizocela nje ukukubuza umbuzo wami uzoba straight kwaKokstad ukuthi uma ngabe sidinga ukukhuluma noKokstad sisizakala ngomasipala wethu noma ikhona indlela yokuthi siqonde straight sikhulume nawo. Ngoba mawukuthi kuzohamba ngomasipala wethu kuningi esingakutholi. So ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi ikhona yini database esibathola kuyona noma indlela esokwazi ukuxhumana nabo ngayo. Ngiyabonga.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know, I'm at the age of over 60. Did I see correctly, is that our Minister there, Susanna Zuma and Dlamini? Is that the Premier there? Zikalala? All the big guns are here. My name is Cyril Gangadin. I'm a Griqua. I fall under the Khoisan umbrella word. I want the Premier and the Minister of Kokstad take this very serious that I'm going to raise here. It's a very sensitive issue. But I was one of the first ones that grabbed the opportunity when the democratic government opened the Restitution Act for us to claim our land back. Minister and Premier, I lodged this claim on 31st of December 1998. That's the first one, the opening. It's over 20 years that not one land claim came true. There's something wrong somewhere. I have raised this with the Minister, Toko Tidiza. When we raised our concerns, she came down. She suggested a task team. We got some hiccups with the task team, but I won't go there. I will follow the act. When I was sitting in the back there, I listened. When the issue of land was raised, I keep on noticing that the emphasis on these 3 pillars of land reform is getting put on land and tenure and land redistribution. I have lodged a collective claim that falls under the Act on behalf of the Griquas within the boundaries of his Griqua land, urban and rural areas, meaning that any other individual claim or any other claim that has been lodged legitimate will also be duplicated in this claim that I've lodged. But many claims came true to non-Griquas. They got their right, and if they got proof of title deeds and they meet the criteria, their claims will go true. But we need answers. I need to feed back to the claimants what is holding this claim up that not one comes true. Yet, Minister, Premier, I am a direct descendant of one of these claims in this collective land claim. And I got proof of the discriminatory laws, how it was taken away. How come not one is coming true? I'm bringing to your attention, and I need some answers. And lastly, I'm asking, everybody wants employment. Everybody wants development. There's a 1-something billion rand bypasses getting built right in his Griqualand land. We need jobs, we need all that. That's fine. But a person, when you take his land away, and we, the Griqua, descend from the first indigenous people, how come our government ignore us? I am not talking about the commission that was put together of the Act 3 of 2019. I'm talking about the act that is already there, the Restitution Act. Please, we need answers. And I'm saying the land that we lodge is for restoration. So how do you prioritize land that you're going to redistribute? And then afterwards, when you get to this claim that we've lodged, and it's legitimate, and I know it's legitimate, I proved it to the Commissioner, Advocate Mbili, but they totally ignore us. So when we want our land back, are we going to have war like Russia and Ukraine? No, we're not going to go there. We want this government to redress the wrongs of the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take another round, but let us allow the leadership to respond to the questions and the comments.
No, thanks. Ngicela ukubingelela. Ngifisa ukuphendula imibuzo. I would like to answer a few questions. But I've taken a view to be the first to answer, because I also have an apology, because I was going to leave at lunchtime. So hayi ngoba ngithi ulambekile bekuwukuthi nje vele ngo1 kudinga ngiphuthume, so ngizoyilahla kunina ngixolise ukuthi cha bakhona abaphathi bazosala. So I will make comments, but I'm making comments on behalf of people who are here to speak for themselves, because most of the questions are question abantu abakhuluma ngama access to opportunities, and MEC Pillay ngithe ngiyabheka ngabuka bona ukuthi angisale sengingena wona ukuthi kusathulekile. So usisu uthandi Hadebe othukela, I don't know, kunesikhathi la esake saba baningi nje ukwenza ama road shows, sifike kwi district sibize wonke ama co-op nama SMMEs sihlangane ndawonye sixoxe. Ngicabanga ukuthi lolo hlelo luzosilekelela ngoba yila ukwazi ukungenelela khona direct. Ngaya othukela zazi ningani inkinga ezazikhona, But I remember ukuthi ezinye sayisolve like Rosbom and all of those areas nama-co-op. Now ngiyafisa ukuthi ngizwelane nalombono othi masinikwe umsebenzi sisebenze. Kodwa masizwelana futhi supporta lombono. Kungcono ukuxhumana direct ukuthi inhloboni yomsebenzi eniwenzayo. Nilekeleleke bese niyayisebenza. So bengacela ukuthi mhlambe through MEC play kube khona outreach esiyangayo lapho thukela. Kodwa before leyo outreach sithole eqala ukuthi yini okukhulunywa ngayo ukuze siye sesiya nezinto ezibambekayo. Umfowethu umzamo ukhulume ngephuzu engicabanga ukuthi liyabhekwa. Selke la raiswa kaningi nathi udaba lokuthi kunabantu abangangathi laba abangaphezulu ka-35 years abangekho ngaphezulu ka-60 abekho esigabeni sempesheni but futhi abakho ekutheni bathole amanye ama-opportunities kalula. Lo mbono wokuthi kuqashwe abantwana from 18 to 35 uvela ekutheni ukukhanda amathuba emisebenzi kutargetwe kakhulu abantu abasebasha. So the focus on job creation is on the youth, and that's why there was this policy. But the concern that is raised have been noted, and I think the public administration is looking on that issue. But I must then extend ukuthi when it comes to business opportunities, we've got funding that support people even beyond 35, abesilisa noma besifazane kuyafana. Laba bakhulume la bethi bathola usizo kwi-Operation Vula Fund. Ifund ekahulumeni waKwaZulu-Natal evuleleke kuwo wonke umuntu. Sineyinhlobo ezintathu uma ngingachaza zokulekelela ngemali abantu. Uhlobo lokuqala i-Operation Vula Fund. Le Operation Vula Fund uya-applya kwa-ATIA kuba nesikhathi abasho ngaso ukuthi applywe uverifywe labo abaphumelele banikezwe lezo zinto abayi-applyele. Now leyo fund ibizwa nge-Operation Vula ayinayo i-limit. Angeke ukuthi umdala umncane usilisa wesifazane ivulelekile kubona bonke abantu bakwaZulu-Natal. Now umbuzo wakhe wesibili obukhuluma ngendaba yama-trust bengafisa ukuthi silithole igama nenamba kamfowethu ngoba sinekomiti elidila nalento yakuthi umhlaba ubuyele kubantu kodwa ungayi kubanini bawo ubuyele kwabambalwa uthola ukuthi umhlaba ubuyele kwi-trust. So njengoba eshilo umfowethu besilwa lento mandate ka-national i-department yakwa-agriculture, land and rural development, kodwa ngenxa yokuthi la KwaZulu-Natal sayilwa sesize sakwazi ukungenelela ku-master of the high court. Sesiyakwazi ukuthi kuthiwe nansi trust kusebenza ibenefit abambalwa mase siyaya ku-master of the high court sithi aniyoyibheka le trust isebenza ngokuyikho ibenefit abantu abafanele na. Uma ingabenefit abafanele kudinga iqalwe kabusha. So sikhuluma nje kule nyanga eyokuqala itrust esingenelele kuyo isophongola ibizwa ngenkunzana. Sesingenelele sasawini impela ukuthi hayi ayi-review itrust. Kunabameli abakhishwe i-ofisi lika le state attorney master of the high court Nkungundlovu bayayiphenya manje lento ukuzilungiswe. So uma singathola ama-details kamfowethu umzamo umakhoba singakwazi ukuthi silandeleke ngaleyo ndlela. Ngiyaluza udwaba lokuthi udadewethu osuka ngapha emkhanya kude Miss or Mrs Ntuli ngiyacabanga ukuthi singaxoxa lolu daba kodwa liyezwakala. Ukufunda through ama service providers kuba nzima. Kungcono ukufunda through ukuthi ufundwe direct. Even kuthiwa uzofundwa direct kodwa ukhokhelwe izinto oyidingayo. Ungathi udinga imbewu noma udinga inkomo kuthiwe hamba olanda inkomo kumuntu othize, then lo muntu uzobenefita ngawe when uyolanda inkomo kuye i-department ikhokhela yena. That thing has been costly to government, and leyo kufunda through ama cooperatives through ama service providers angazi noma umthetho noma yini angizwa isikhalo kokuqala sengeke ngathi ukizwa. Ngicabanga ukuthi ngizocela uagriculture no department waka-Asia Economic Development bayibheke ngoba inayo yona into ethi hayi akuhambi kahle ukuthi uzofunda umuntu kodwa umfande through omunye. Lo ofandiwe ayithole sethola okuncane mase kuba i-service provider ebenefit okuningi. So ngisizolandela ke lolu daba. Uprecious from umtubatuba indlela ayibeke ngayo lento emotivation ikhanda nami ngibone ku-executive ukuthi kushuthi sathu ukuthi iscope sibe tight. Kodwa ke ngisho ukuthi isuke laphi lento yokuthi singakwazi ukufunda i-operational cost kuma cooperatives. Sifunda equipment sikunikeze uyithenge usho wena ukuthi uzoyithenga phi. Umase usinikeza sikhokhele lapho. Now ngiyalizwa leliphuzu la Precious ukuthi mhlambe mabenganikwa at least just okuncane ukuthi bakwazi uqala abasebenzi. It makes a point, and we will take that incorporated kwi-operation vula mangenzeka. Ithala can do it ukuthi kwazi ukuqhamuka nani nokucover ama-cost. So we will discuss it ibe blended. Sikwazi ukuthi uma sikunika through operation vula noma through i-youth fund mase kuba khona imali yokuthi uqale ukusebenza. Yiphuzu elibalulekile. Bengeke ngachaza ngalama fund ngagcina ngichaze yodwa kune-operation vula fund ebese ngiyichazile. Kube neKwaZulu-Natal Youth Business Development Fund. Sayiqala ngo-50 million kule financial year sesiyisa ku-100 million. Yokutargeta yona abantu abancane abanama-ideas ahlukile amahle ebhizinisi. Kodwa ke phela ama-ideas siwafunda wonke. Iningi likwi-agriculture lifandiwe. Khona bakwi-aluminium nalabe bebekhuluma, that's good. Khona bakwi-recycling. Khona nabakha ama-glass nalama-glass nje amawindi esibafandile abangapha King Cetshwayo. So that is the Youth Development Fund, ifunda bonke abantu. And then mase kuba khona izimele Traders Fund. Izimele Traders Fund isazoqaliswa. Silontshile yona ukuthi sihlanganise abantu beyitolo. Sikwazi ukubalekelela ukuthi bathole isitoko nokuvuselela izitolo zabo bazakhe kahle. Now these are three funding mechanisms esinawo. Konke lokhu siqhuba uhlelo olulodwa lo lesilibiza nge-radical socio-economic transformation. So i-practical yilezi zinto ezintathu. But into yokutraina siyibeka phambili. Training and mentorship ibaluleke kakhulu. Ngoba abaningi abakhulumile basuka ngala engideploywe khona. Uhulumeni waKwaZulu-Natal bonke MEC basebenza kuma district njengoba ngeke ngasho MEC Hlomuka usebenza la ku district yase Herigwala mina ngisebenza ngale eMkhanyakude omunye umsebenzi wami ukuthi ngibheke nje intuthuko yonke yakhona amanzi ugesi ngibheke kakhulu ini usukuma sakhe nani ne district development model but ngibuye ngibheke futhi ukuthi labantu abasizwe uhulumeni baya sustaineka na so ngendlela abaphawule ngayo nje kungifanele ukuthi ke ngicela ukuthi uMEC phile yasinikeza umuntu oyedwe ofisini siye siyohlangana nabo bonke labantu base Mtuba abake babenefita sixoxe nje ukuthi babenefitile ngakube bayasebenza banayo imakethe bayatrainwa yini inkinga banazo sibamsana ukuthi bathuthuke baye phambili so ngiyafuna ukuyicommita ku Miso Mamntuli Precious and all of those who come from eMkhanyakude I will try to make a space sokuthi sikwazi ukuxoxa eduze ngoba masixoxa eduze siyakwazi ukubheka into nento awunikwa lapho ithuba lokuthi ubuze umbuzo owodwa yanikwa nje mhlawumbe u5 minutes ubeke konke so ngiyafuna ukuyibophezela kwi district yaseMkhanyakude njengo champion wakhona udaba lwe sports facilities engathi lwake lwabekwa so udaba olufanele uzwide nomntolo mangibheka angikangenike kulo udaba lwe red tape usisi uzodi ngiyaluzwa lo daba cha ayikho red tape kuba nesikhathi nje kule ma funding options ebengiwasho aya announcewa kwakuvele kube ukuthi kuya applywa kube khona ifeedback kodwa ngiyafisa ukuthi uma wakwa applyela kwaHulumeni kule mkhakha u3 engiyibalayo uma ungaphumelelanga uthintane nabakwa economic development ze bakuchazela ukuthi yini ekhanda ukuthi ungaphumeleli sasikwenze kwaba umgomo epolicy we said part of the policy ukuthi laba bangaphumelele ababizwe baqeqeshwe banikeze umuntu nomuntu ukuthi inkinga zenu zibe la zaba la improve la nala so ngiyafisa ukuthi lokho sikulandelele and then uzethu ngicabanga naye ubekhuluma yona indaba ye funding ukuthi ayize direct sengiphendulile kulokho ubaba Cyril cha singafisa ukuthola ama document manake manje ungirekodela ukuthi uyosho ekhaya ukuthi ukhulumile impela wayiphendula le ndaba uzikalala no ayingiyezwa sure no we would like to get the report it's become easy to follow a matter as a case a specific case and therefore we would like to get that report we have a task team that we have established that look on the challenges of farmers, farm workers, and farm dwellers. The team is co-chaired by MEC, Muloi, and myself. We look on all of the issues that affect, in a main, farm workers and farm dwellers. We have a strong campaign that goes to assist in uplifting the social conditions of those people, including looking on issues of labor. By extension, we are dealing also with the issue of farms that were claimed but have not been given back, or farms that were claimed and have been restituted back, but the problem is that there are trust or CPAs that are managing and other people are not benefiting. So we're dealing with all of those issues. We will kindly request that we get a report on the issue so that we will be able to follow specifically on the matter. But I must say, to cut across, it will be good. We've taken a view that going forward, time and again, we will be interacting with cooperatives in districts. I know that all MECs now have gone to support or to give the equipment that were bought through Operation Vula. All of them, the last one was in Emalahleni this past weekend. What we're going to do now is to go back and meet with the beneficiaries of Operation Vula and Youth Fund per district, work on their challenges, ensure that they are sustainable, they get the market, support them to grow. In doing so, we will also include in those sessions meeting with other cooperatives in each and every district, because it becomes easier if we do it through that approach. I thank you. Those were questions directed to us as provincial government, and I've answered them. Thank you.
Olisa kakhulu Honorable Minister, khona iphutha elenzekile ngesikhathi kubuzwa imibuzo inkosi yesizwe biphakamisile ngase ngithi ingayi koma ku-queue, ngicela ukuthi nginikeze ithuba. Ngiyaxolisa kakhulu. Ngicela i-roving mic ize lapha phambili. Oh.
Ngaphendula besa lethi mic ngoba ngathi bathatha isikhathi. Yabona. Mina kukho okuningi engizokuphendula. I think undunankulu wethu usephendulile. Nabanye basazophendula. I just wanted to answer that question that was directed to Kokstad, whether you have a right to talk to Kokstad directly, or you always have to go through the municipalities. You have a right to speak to any of us. Yes, you can speak to the municipality, then the province, then national, you have the right. We are all your servants, so feel free. And then the other one of safe cities for children. Yes, in the concept of the cities that you would like to build, we've put that it must be safe for women and children, because if it's safe for women and children, it's safe for everyone. So in the design, we don't want it to be an afterthought when the city is already built, and then we say, how do we make it safe for children and women? We want the design itself to ensure that. So we agree with you. We will do that. So those are the two things I thought I should answer. I also want to apologize, like the Premier. I was supposed to be in Heinville by 2, and I'm running very late, but I'll sit and listen to the question when it goes in case we are until.
Malibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. I thought we have the same challenge of time. We were going to have to share in full how others outside this South Africa, when I say others, I mean people who are not non-South African, who we met 3 days ago in New York under the banner of the CSW, sitting number 66. CSW UN. Assessor 11 countries, and they say South Africa is amongst the best. One, with constitution. Two, with the laws that we come up with that aim at protecting women, youth, and persons with disabilities. The department, it's not dishing out stuff. We are here to say to the province premier, to the minister, we are part of this DDM, district development model, because those things that CSW praise us for, it's about how we should focus on implementing good constitution, good laws. How do we now implement department by department, particularly departments under economic cluster? I was saying to Minister Zuma earlier on, I attend even these things of investment conferences, and then the announcements are made. Yes, you are right. It's our job to follow up all funding institutions, or the ones that Premier was talking about, but also the private sector. Because human beings who are unemployed, young people who are unemployed, women who are unemployed, they don't live at national, they live at a locality somewhere. So this is a very good combination, Minister, and a very good thought of district development model. But I think if there's a thing we need to change is these billions that get announced, after the announcements and the conferences, where does the cash go? Also, masicela thina singathi asina spelling seventh. Of course, yes, it's for the funded seventh. But we also need to own, fight to own. If Seaboard development is coming and it's new, if we say we want to build a new city, it means we don't want to say opangela khona. Sifuna ukuba say owner. We must follow up this funds that Premier had referred to. Tina, as a department, will work with the minister on monitoring and evaluation and follow the money. Follow the money, but don't be irresponsible. Yabona ke manje basithi siyasithenga ukuthi we are governing ourselves. It comes with responsibility. Mawuntshontsha untshontshelwa wena. Awuntshontshelwe omunye umuntu, because you are the government. This is the government of the people, by the people. We should monitor. We should advocate for you like we did in New York and everywhere we go. And come back home and say, they say, implement. Focus on implementation. Focus on ownership. Focus on creating the jobs. Focus on following the money. Focus on making it real. Let's work through DDM, because that's where our people live. I thank you.
Ngicela ukukunikeza ithuba.
Ndibonge kakhulu umphathi wohlelo, ndibingelele kumphathiswa uMafungwashe Dlamini, Ndibengelele kumphathiswa belinibhidele likamukwana Mashabane, ndibingelele ku premier esehambile, ndiphinde ndibingelele ku MEC wethu uHlomuka, ndiphinde ndibingelele umeya bonke abakhona, ndibingelele kakhulu nabo MEC abakhona. Ndimbonile pha umphathiswa uMEC uPilay, ndimbonile pha futhi no mama uKhoza. Ndibhekise kakhulu kuwe, ndihloniphe kakhulu kuwe baba uNxumalo. Ndiyajabula ukhona namhlanje sinathi sonke. Uva ndithi ke mphathi wohlelo umafungwashe lwa, umama uMashabane kufuneka mphathe kahle, umntwana egazi, uyindlu yasekunene ebukhosini bamadlamini. Ndiphinde nizothi kwabake Kokstad, umeya wenu umtshana komkhulu, umama wakhe umntwana egazi. Yiyo lento kunjena nje izinto zonke mama Mashabane zimane ziza la eKokstad, unegazi elihle. Ndibe semxholweni kanye ke ngoku. Uyabona lento ezokhulunywa la eKokstad, mphathiswa Mafungwashe nawe mphathiswa Mashabane, ibaluleke ngohlobo olukhulu kakhulu. Into endesabisa kakhulu ke ukuthi thina sizwe esimnyama kungathi siyayibalekela into ehlanganiswe nemvelo. Uyabona umhlaba, ndibekela incanyana nje emphathi ohleli into enzayikhulula idlana nje. Umhlaba imvelo kaThixo ofuneka ihlonitshiwe. Umhlaba kuphethe izinto eziningi. Unomuntu umhlaba. Umuntu ke indalo kaThixo.